Coming up, the alleged real reason behind a WWE star firing, a confrontation with Triple H backstage, a top AEW star injured, and more.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Chokeslam the subscribe button and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling videos. But before we get into any of that, All Elite Wrestling have been rumbled. They've long been considered a bastion of long-term logical storytelling, but following PAC's return promo on this week's Dynamite, where he said he's gone crazy locked down by himself, Reddit user Wobby the Man has exposed this as a lie. On the post Major Flaw in AEW Storyline, Wobby reveals PAC has not in fact been by himself the past 7 months. I live near him and seen him both in a supermarket and walking a dog with someone else. I hope somebody got fired for that blunder. PAC, you're exposing the business. But at least AEW is providing a safe and alternative place to work for out-of-work wrestlers, because Miro, the former Rusev, has made some incredibly serious accusations for why WWE fired him earlier this year. Back in April, WWE released or furloughed a reported 40% of its workforce, including big-name wrestlers like Kurt Angle, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and Rusev. The company claimed they were cutting costs because of the pandemic, which was later exposed as a pretty hollow claim, when WWE issued record-breaking revenue and profits in the 2 quarters that followed, making 2020 one of their best money-making years ever. Which is why Miro has alleged on Talk Is Jericho there was another reason behind WWE letting him go. I was getting some of the boys around because we were not okay about how everybody was treated in the pandemic situation. We felt scared to go to work, and once again, it was probably 10 of us talking, somebody leaked it to the office. From us 10 people that were talking, somebody leaked it to the office and to the dirt sheets, and once that happened, I knew right away they're gonna fire me because they're gonna blame it all on me. Of course, because I'm the guy, but it doesn't matter. They fired me, I lashed out because I think we're on the path of doing something good, because I do want to protect the boys. We all wanted to protect the boys and the girls. That didn't work out, and that's why I felt like they cut me underneath, because I was just so angry, man. This is potentially an incredibly serious allegation. If Miro was considered an employee of WWE, which wrestlers arguably are, firing him for trying to protect his colleagues could be considered wrongful termination, as employees are protected when whistleblowing or trying to join a union. It must be said that WWE have put in place rigorous COVID safety precautions in recent months, but during those early days that Miro was talking about, he and others had every right to be scared, with several reported outbreaks in the company. Rusev was also involved in a reported contract dispute since the previous summer, even being taken off TV during his Bobby Lashley feud until it could be resolved. So WWE could also argue that was why he was released. And another wrestler in the company has reportedly challenged Triple H over how they're being used. Xia Li joined the NXT Performance Center in January 2017 to become the first ever Chinese woman to wrestle for WWE. She competed in both Mae Young Classics, cameoed in the 2019 Women's Royal Rumble match, and has since been a semi-regular on NXT TV, most recently turning heel by attacking Kacy Catanzaro. It's the first substantial character beat she's been given since signing 3 years ago, and Fightful Select is reporting that's because she confronted Triple H backstage about how she was being booked. Because Lee is also a kickboxer who got herself an amateur fight last month. But when WWE officials found out about the event just days before she was set to compete, when Lee and others started promoting it online, they pulled her from the show. Fightful writes this made Lee upset and feel WWE wasn't giving her respect. Out of frustration for being hardly used on TV after years with the company, she went directly to Triple H to express that she felt ready for an opportunity. Triple H, just like Vince McMahon, was impressed by her initiative and has started featuring her more on TV, although she hasn't won a match since April. It's understandable that WWE would want to pull Lee during the pandemic, not wanting their performers to risk bringing the virus back to the Performance Center. But according to Sean Ross Sapp, NXT wrestlers aren't under the same strict limitations as main roster stars, with NXT currently being exempt for now, from WWE's takeover of various wrestlers' Twitch and Cameo accounts. It's those sorts of company perks that WWE can convince indie wrestlers to sign contracts. Come to WWE! Where else can you allegedly be fired for trying to make the workplace safer? Hopefully one day perform on morally compromised shows in Saudi Arabia and sign over ownership of your real name. But even with contract clauses Robert Johnson would turn down, many wrestlers are still signing WWE deals in the talent war with AEW. Following UK standout Ben Carter signing with WWE last month and AEW announcing Max Caster and Anthony Bowens were all elite this week, Fightful is reporting WWE have reached out to several people who have featured on AEW Dark shows, where unsigned wrestlers are given a chance to prove themselves. Apparently WWE are also looking at New Japan's Strong Talent too. Strong being the name of the show there, not just whether they can make Braun Strowman feel like a baby again. Like indie star Alex Zane, who's been featured on Strong this year, with Fightful reporting WWE are interested in him. At the same time, Zane has announced his final independent date will be at this Sunday's Game Changer Wrestling So Much Fun show. AEW did manage one victory this week though, pulling in 717,000 viewers to NXT's 610. This is a huge drop off from NXT's 876,000 they drew for last week's Halloween Havoc, and down for both shows with the ratings and normal life steamroller that is the US presidential election. But AEW have found themselves with an injury to one of their top stars going into this Saturday's pay-per-view. Brian Alvarez revealed on Wrestling Observer Radio that the Young Bucks' Matt Jackson suffered a legit leg injury in July this year during the Falls Count Anywhere Dynamite match against Butcher and the Blade, in a spot where he did a flying elbow off the stage. He's been working through a partially torn MCL and a thinning of the ACL ever since, which he's now worked into the story with FTR by having them Pillmanize his ankle 2 weeks ago. The Bucks have wrestled multiple times on TV since then, and Jackson himself has tweeted he's been medically cleared to compete this Saturday against the Boar Horseman Burn. But a thinning ACL sounds like a ticking time bomb kind of injury. As FTR told us at WrestleTalk themselves in our interview with them on Wrestle2, do go and check that out, they think their full gear build against the Bucks could have been better. And now Cody has admitted on yesterday's media call that the sudden stipulation that if the Bucks lose they can never challenge for the tag titles in AEW ever again is a bad idea, saying maybe they did not learn from my experience, but that's wrestling for you, that's a wrestler. We're bullheaded and we are how we are, in a potential blend of kayfabe and shoot. But it seems to have worked for making the result difficult to predict, as the latest betting odds have the Bucks and FTR exactly tied. Elsewhere on the show, Moxley, Cody and Shida are the favourites to retain against Eddie Kingston, Darby Allin and Nyla Rose. MJF and Matt Hardy are expected to beat Jericho and Sammy Guevara, and Kenny Omega is the big favourite to beat Hangman Page and become the AEW World Titles #1 contender. Cody hasn't been so self-reflective on AEW's heavily criticised women's division though, saying the fault of their lackluster women's championship feud is on you people, as paraphrased by Sean Ross Sapp here. Cody tells Bell to Bells that he's not disappointed in the Shida-Nyla build. He says wrestling fans have been conditioned to believe that an invisible camera and someone taking a last piece of cake and catering start a feud. AEW will not have a war and peace build to everything. I would argue there is a sweet spot between a backstage food fight and a 1,225-page novel War and Peace when booking your pro wrestling stories. Especially, for your women's championship while you're pushing a subscription service specifically for female wrestling fans. AEW have so much talent though that they've announced a special episode of Dark for tonight's WWE Talent Scouts viewing pleasure, featuring Ricky Starks, Big Swole, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. But while AEW Full Gear is stacked, a WrestleTalk Full Jam watch-along party will be even more jammed, because I am defending my Jam That Championship against lukewarm Luke Owen, and to ensure he doesn't cheat me out of my precious Big Red again, El Fakador Laurie Blake will be the special guest referee who will challenge us to special polls on a pole matches throughout the stream for extra points. And I already have a 1-point lead because I made the best chop sound on yesterday's AEW podcast.
So Noni and I have got veal that was delivered this morning. I've got salmon, and I hit those in the test. It wasn't enough, so I've got a cutting board behind them.
That is good. That is good.
That was good. That is good.
In your face, Luke, you're a vegetarian. Set your reminder for our AEW Full Gear live reactions by clicking the video on the right. And check out Brock Lesnar's new look by clicking the video below that. Remember, you can compete against all of us in our predictions by joining Patreon and entering the Wrestle League. I've been Mr. Davis, your forever Jam That Champion.